Do you know that making plans to start a gas business in Nigeria without first of all understanding the requirements and the guidelines for such business is like sitting down and making plans for your business to fail? The agency of government that is saddled with this responsibility of moderating and providing guidelines for this business is the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Agency. On my last video, I told us and I told you that this business is a profitable one, and some persons are into so many businesses, and most persons are also the middlemen, and they are cashing out every day. There are some persons also who have the gas plants. And so today we are discussing the guidelines for those of us who want to go into the business of gas plant. That is, you have a piece of land and you want to build a gas plant. So many persons have been asking me, how do I construct, what are needed for me to construct an LPG plant? And now I want to get into the basics first, because you must do first things first. Without it, government is going to pounce on your business, and that will be the end of it. Now remember to subscribe to this channel anytime, any day. We are bent on giving you good business models in Nigeria that is helping people cash out every day legitimately and without any hassles. Now below are the guidelines for operating or building a gas plant in Nigeria. Number one, you must have to provide the statutory documents for grant of site approval. Remember, you have already your land of required specification and dimension, ranging from one plot to how many acres of land. And now the agents from the Ministry of the downstream, the midstream regulatory agency are supposed to come visit your site and know if it is within the specifications, and also if you qualify or your site is qualified to construct an LPG plant. You're going to have a copy of application letter that you are going to address to the ministry. You are going to have also a copy of the certificate of incorporation of your business. Yes, we all know that before now you would have got your CSA documents and certified. You also need a copy of your current tax clearance. You must have to go fill your tax clearance certificate. You must go and fill your tax clearance at the Federal Inland Revenue Service or the State Inland Revenue Service. But most importantly, the Federal Inland Revenue Service office. You must have a survey plan of your proposed plot of land. And then the application fees, ranging from when you get to the office, they will tell you how much it is. Then Aboyemi Street in Victoria Island, that is the office of the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Agency. Now, what are the statutory documents and design diagrams for approval to construct an LPG plant in Nigeria? Number one, you must have a letter of approval from town planning. Number two, you must have copies of approved drawings. Number three, there must be copies of survey plan and also copies of piping and instrumentation diagram, the P&ID. What is the next one again? It is copies of manufacturer's data sheet. It must have to be, the metal sheet must have to be within the right specifications as specified by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Agency. You must have a provisional approval letter and fire report by the Chief Federal or State Fire Officer. Now, after you must have done this and submitted these documents, the next thing is to visit your site for inspection. Now, look at the specifications. Before asking someone, or you want to know if your site falls within a specification, now ask yourself some questions. Does it fall within any pipeline right of way? Does your site fall within the pipeline right of way? The piping and instrumentation diagram has been designed by engineers are supposed to review this. So if the land that was sold to you that you proposed to construct an LPG plant has a pipeline right of way, the NMDPRA is going to cancel that request, and they are not going to approve that site. And once their site is not approved, any LPG plant or any business that is done there, especially that of gas business or business that is of highly inflammability and toxicity and also explosivity, they are not going to approve it. Is the site accessible from the road? The distance from the LPG plant or the proposed LPG plant from the location, is it less than 15 meters from any property that's within? The specification from the NNDPRA is that your gas plant must be at least 15 meters away from any residential building or any property that's within there. I should know the essence of this. In case there's any fire incident or there is an explosion, the occupants of the next building or people who are occupying the next building will not be affected negatively. The site should also be should have adequate spacing, to accommodate people. There must be adequate spacing, and no, it's not going to remember their documents are always reviewed as specified by the department. Depending on the number of years they specify for every review. So when you get to the office, they're going to give you the most recent reviewed and updated document. After this, the next thing is site inspection report. So we're going to provide a report on that. You're going to be very prayerful at this time, because if a negative report is written about that site, that is the end of the approval. And then, peradventure, the site is approved. The next thing you're going to have, the next stage is pre-license inspection. And then, because once the site is approved, they're going to give you a license to start operating a gas business. And so, what does the pre-license inspection entail? You must have a completed application form for the grant of LPG license. This should be issued by the NNDPRA office. You must have the certificate from Weights and Measure from Federal Ministry of Trade. You must have certificate from Standard Organization of Nigeria that the LPG plant or the tank meets specification and it is safe for operation. You must have fire safety certification that is issued by the federal or state fire department. You must have a list and evidence of trained staff by the NNDPRO. You don't just go and train your staff. You must have them, you must invite them for the training, organize your staff. You know the people that you want to use as the fillers, the people you want to use as the pump attendants, people you want to use as the cleaners. Everybody within your employ, they must be trained by the NNDPRA. You must have 2 copies of standard operating procedures for operating LPG plant in Nigeria. You must have LPG tank and piping pressure test certificate that's been supervised by the NNPRA. So the pipes, whether it is 2 inches or 2 inches or 4 inches or thereabout, even the tank itself, the surface tank, you must have to pressure test them, and the certificate must be issued to you from the NNPRA. During the exercise, whether you are calling an external vendor or you are calling anybody else, the NNDPRA officer must be there present to witness it. You must have a photograph of the plant that is showing its amenities. Now we are going to snap a photograph of your plant that will be showing the amenities. That you'll be having the functional automated manual leak tester. And so you know the essence of this. Once there's leakage, the automatic, mostly they prefer the automatic, because before somebody gets there to find out that there's a leakage of gas in case you start operating, then there must be the presence of automatic gas tester. So what this does is it tests the gas and raises alarm. There is a synchronization of the gas tester and automated fire alarm system. So whenever the fire tester or the leak tester or the LPG leak tester, or you call it the LPG monitor or gas monitor, whenever it detects any leakage, it sends a signal to the control room, and then what you have is an alarm is going to blast, showing you that people should not come near the gas plant because there has been a leakage. Vehicles should not drive near. Nobody should make calls around there. Of course, you know before now that you're not supposed to make calls around the LPG plant. You must have a picture of the functional fire alarm system. There must be safety signages. The safety signages, another name for it is the postings, or you call it the signposts, showing where people are not supposed to go, showing the area that is barricaded, showing the areas that unauthorized persons are not supposed to gain access. You're supposed to show the areas where phone calls are prohibited, and the areas people must put on their personal protective equipment, that is your workers. You also have to show a photograph of the emergency shutdown device. In case of any emergency, this is where somebody is going to push this button, and then it's going to shut down the whole operation. There must be a visible display of emergency telephone numbers of fire service. You see, everything that has to do with fire is always in red, so that people can turn their eyes and look at it. So those numbers, the updated numbers of the office of the federal fire service or the state fire service, must be visibly present within the facility, at least strategically and conspicuously posted and kept where people can actually reach them and call them in case the fire or the emergency overwhelms the facility. There must be adequate fire water storage of adequate capacity, deluge system, A dealer system operates on its own, and what it does is, in case of any fire, you can push a button and you have the sprinkler sprinkle water on top the tank, and then to quell any kind of untoward event whenever there is a leakage or there is fire incident. Muster point is very important. So these are some of the photographs that it's going to show. It's going to show muster point. What is a muster point? Another name for it is assembly point. This is where people gather in event of emergency. If the emergency does not overwhelm the facility, if it is a minor incident that people have to learn from, so people gather there and you debrief them and tell them that look at what happened. I would not want this to happen again. But remember, the muster point is not for any emergency that involves or that might involve explosion. This is why muster points are always situated close to the exit gate. So once you have assessed the situation, in case it's been approved, and then the NDPRA want to know the position and the location of your muster point. So in case there's any fire that's overwhelming the facility, people can run out from there. But if it's a minor leakage or somebody had a frostbite, then they can muster and they will discuss about it. They can return back to work after they would have learned from that incident. The next one is that the car parking areas should be outside of the gas plant. Now, these days, what do we see? You see people parking and coming, bringing their cylinders almost inside and within the space where people are coming to refuel their cylinders, which is very wrong. If the NDPRA catches up with you, it's going to be the dead end of that business. Demarcation of the LPG storage areas to unauthorized persons. Yes, there must be areas where unauthorized persons are not allowed to enter. You must have to specify this in the photograph and show them before the final license is given to you. And then the last one, a fence of at least 2 meters high. You must barricade the LPG filling area with a fence that's at least 2 meters high. So these are some of the specifications and the guidelines before you plan to set up an LPG gas plant or construct LPG gas plant. It's a highly regulated business, and so the requisite guidelines are needed. The department also of the Ministry of Petroleum and the subset of the Ministry of Petroleum, the Nigerian midstream and downstream regulatory agency, must be put in copy, and their full eyes must be on you. I said after this, congratulations it is to you and your business, and then you start smiling to the bank after you have bought a product and then start fulfilling that one. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel as always in order to get the first-hand information whenever each and every one of our videos drops. To get more of this, please, like I said, subscribe, and we're going to get back to you on the next one.